Formula 1 will unleash a new generation of car this year, as the series shifts to ground effect cars that are aimed at making the racing better. While the regulations are not specifically designed to make overtaking easier per se, the hope is that the new concepts will allow drivers to follow their rivals much closer than before. To achieve that, Formula 1 has had to move away from a reliance on downforce created by the front and rear wings. Instead, the cars will generate much more downforce and performance from channeling air through Venturi tunnels underneath the car. By doing that, it's hoped that pursuing cars will not suffer as much from the wake of the rivals in front, otherwise known as dirty air, which has the potential to completely ruin an F1 car's aerodynamic planning. As well as this, returning Venturi tunnels should also help reduce sliding and minimise tyre overheating. One of the consequences of the change in rules was expected to be a dramatic increase in lap times, with initial talk being that cars could be as much as 5 seconds a lap slower. However, with teams rapidly understanding the details of the rules, the suggestion is now that the cars could be as little as 0.5 seconds adrift of where F1 lap times are right now, depending on how developed the new cars are. But even with the lap times being similar, one common theme has cropped up in recent weeks: how different the cars feel for the drivers. Beyond the loss of downforce, drivers who have tried the cars in the simulators have talked of the cars feeling not as settled as before. As Lando Norris said, "I don't think it will be as nice to drive in a way. I think it will be a little bit more on the limit in terms of pushing and so on. A little bit like F2 in a way, I think, where you'll see more drivers fighting the car." Such comments at a time when F1 has moved towards cars that are aimed at making them more stable when following others appears to suggest that something has gone awry. However, as the FIA's head of single-seater technical matters, Tombazis, explains, what the drivers are experiencing is a consequence of a move to make the aerodynamics of the car simpler. Whereas teams previously honed the airflows of the old generation of cars to ensure consistent airflow over the bodywork through a corner, such an outcome is not possible now. Tombazis explained there's quite a few challenges in drivability terms nowadays. Teams had developed the through corner performance from a drivability point of view, and for stability, they did a lot of work in the simulator. They also did a lot of work on the aerodynamics to ensure that the car didn't have quick changes of characteristics through the corner that would unsettle the driver. Tombazis also followed on to say that the new 2022 rules make this design philosophy harder than in previous years, which obviously has a knock-on effect to making the cars more difficult to drive, something he approves of. The areas of the cars teams had honed the most, like airflow from the front wing to the barge boards and under the floor, was no longer possible, obviously due to the large amount of regulation changes in those areas of the car. With the barge boards now removed, the front wings being more simplified, even more than 2019's limitations of all the extra panels, and Venturi tunnels completely overhauling the car's floors, teams will now have to take all of those areas back to the drawing board, and possibly completely rethink how that affects the rest of the aerodynamics of the car. Coupled with all of that, the limitations on floor slots, additional fins and turning vanes mean that all the intricate vortices helping to redirect the airflow is something of the past. But the consequence of what the teams can do, allied to the change in car characteristics, should put a bigger emphasis on driving talent, something Tombazis is happy about. A lack of design refinement stemming from not having the previous era's worth of research and understanding will inevitably lead to a small drop in performance. Obviously, this won't be dangerous, as the designers will still strive to make their cars the best they can possibly be, but this does mean that the skill of F1's drivers can make all the difference going forward, something that can lead to even more exciting races in the upcoming 2022 season.